Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. This is episode number 101, and I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and I'm joined this week by Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, what a wonderful week for gaming we've got ahead of us, and some amazing news from last week from Microsoft. But before we begin, Vic, who do we got with us?
Yeah, man, we're welcoming back Paul, aka Inhuman Line. Welcome back, brother.
Hey, after a lot of technical difficulties, I'm back up and running as always. How we doing, gentlemen?
Good,
Appreciate
man,
the
good.
invite.
Yes, sir. And unfortunately, no Scobie1 this week. He is away on vacation, as you can see here on the chat window. He was already in chat talking with us here on the Press Start Podcast. But like Roger said, man, we got a lot to dive into. So let's just get right to it, into what we've been playing this week, and let's honestly just kick it off into what we played as a group after the podcast last week was Exoprimal. Roger, I want to kick this to you because I know you're really hyped for this game right now. So go ahead and take it away with Exoprimal.
Honestly, dude, this is the game that's gonna kill. I don't even want to play Overwatch anymore. I played Exoprimal and I was like, this is the new game for me, dude. Like, this is it. It's fun. It felt like Overwatch 2 in the fact that you had a payload on the PvP game mode. The PvE was fun. It felt like a WoW dungeon every time I loaded up. And dude, I've been missing that. I've been missing that WoW dungeon experience without the WoW dungeons and the people. Honestly, it just felt good. What did you think?
Yeah, I overall thought it was a really enjoyable game, and it's really been being compared to Titanfall. We talked about it like day one, and then all the other gaming podcasts and the gaming community that I listen to and participate in, they're like, "Yo, this is like Titanfall 1 all over again." And I'm just like, it really is, and the fact that I really hope that maybe we get an Exoprimal 2, because if they do and they follow the same steps of what Titanfall did, we can get a fucking really phenomenal game, because Titanfall 2 was one of the greatest of all time. I want like more of a story mode. I love the gameplay of Exoprimal 1, but like,
I get what you're
where's
going
the
for
story?
there.
That story that they could tell in that would be fucking crazy, but still have that multiplayer setup that they do have right now.
Could you imagine fighting through all of those dinosaurs up and in your way, like to actually get where you're going, and like just waves and swaths of dinosaurs in that sort of WoW dungeon experience, but without all the like having to rush through it because you're racing an enemy team to get there first? Like, it would be great.
Yeah, the gunplay is great. The exosuits are insane, and the fact that you can switch on the fly to a different one depending on the situation and stuff like that. If you need more DPS, you switch to a DPS. But if you need a more of a support, then you just switch to a support. Hey, we appreciate the subscribe there, D Watt. But what's your thoughts on this game, Paul? I know you played a little bit with us last week.
Yeah. Well, first off, we need to get back into it because I definitely did have a blast. That was fun. But secondly, it was very, very. I don't want to say weird, but yeah, I'll say it because it gave me heavy like Warframe vibes, but when it came to the stats and everything, it wasn't as nerdy as like the Division can get, because the Division could get like really nerdy when it comes to numbers and stuff. But I hear you on the Titanfall stuff, but for some reason, I don't know, it kind of made me feel like Anthem a lot as well. Like it was just, in terms of just the fluidity, it was extremely fluid, but it still kind of felt like an MMORPG. Like, it just felt very good, and it was a breath of fresh air. We'll just leave it at that. It was a breath of fresh air. Loved it.
Yeah, for sure. It's sad to see that Anthem was a flop that it was, because that game had so much going for it. It looked beautiful. Yeah, the fluidity from like the exosuits was great. The combat was even fun, but it flopped harder than a fucking fish out of water, like, all pun intended, because like that game missed
story, though.
That game missed the mark all the way. But yeah, it's definitely been a fun game, and I'm really excited to play some more. Maybe we'll even hop in after the podcast, because Scobie1 can't make the podcast, but he said he can hop in and play games with us. So maybe we'll see how that goes.
Playing, dude. I'm playing tonight.
Yeah.
I really want to play this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So let's move on to another game. Paul, I want to kick it over to us real quick in our co-op stream, because we started Back for Blood, and it's been a really fun experience, honestly. I'm like, man, like,
Yes,
and the fact that we're going to talk about some news later on about the potential sequel, which we can just talk about it now. And it's just like, if they build off of what they laid their framework with Back for Blood, I think they have something good on their hands because it's fun, it's chaotic as fuck, but like there's some minor tweaks that can happen to it because like what our playthrough has been
Yeah.
difficult as hell. The health is damn near impossible to come by, and then like
And can I cut in here and just
Yeah.
say one thing? And I think it's really interesting you make this claim, because what difficulty are you playing at?
we're playing it like normal. I think it's called veteran
Okay.
in Back for Blood.
And now think about this. Like, the thing is, like, with Left 4 Dead, like, you were really ready to always push those end game tiers, those final levels and stuff. But with Back for Blood, because you're building that card system and you're kind of playing that out, the problem begins, like, for the people who want to continue to play this over and over again, as you try to take those higher difficulties and those higher levels, you're dedicating so much of your card deck to survival. Like, you're spending about 15 to 25, like, parts just to do your build. And, like, that feels bad. Like, you don't want to be sitting there, okay, spending that many pieces just to get a build going and to stay alive, and then you're just like, here's 4 things that make my character unique after I have the rest just to stay alive. And I think that's their biggest issue.
Yeah, I think the other issue is the game does not reward you for doing good whatsoever. It extremely punishes you. It's like, oh, you did really, really good. Okay, here's 5 cards that just work against you, and like no lube whatsoever. We're just gonna take advantage. And that's exactly what they do, because they know that their game is fun. So they are going to take advantage of you. And then as soon as you die like 2-3 times, which is funny because we didn't even die 2-3 times within one mission. Maybe throughout the night of playing, but per mission we probably died only once and everything. And each time they do it, they might either drop one card or they might like lessen, what one of the cards do to you. But by no means do they even want to help you or, give you a wink for doing good in the game.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but we were getting, like you said, fucked hard during our playthrough because they kept giving us like they kept giving us the boss card, right? Like, so in the middle of a level, here comes an ogre out of nowhere, and we're like,
yeah.
What, every single level I gotta fight an ogre, and like that's damn near impossible to try and
check
fight
if
that.
veteran's actually normal difficulty. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think veteran is.
Well, but you think about it, the first like half of our playthrough so far has been like super easy, fucking cakewalk. But then like this back half, it's been hard as hell, and I'm like, where did the difficulty spike at? Like, what are we missing that's making the game so hard? Because we just finished Act 1. That's all we've been through so far is Act 1, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened? But overall, I mean, I think it's been a good
missions.
It's been a fun game, and this is as far as I've been because like when the game first dropped, I was playing this through solo. I got through all of Act 1, and I was like, yo, I can't get supply points because I'm not playing co-op because that wasn't a thing. Couldn't get achievements because I wasn't playing co-op. The only way I can get achievements is if I'm playing in co-op. Can't play this game solo. So I was like, man, fuck this game. I don't even want to play it no more. You pissed me off. Then I came back, Roger, me and you ran it for a little bit, and I was like, okay, cool, it's fun. But it wasn't as fucking crazy as what it is now. And then now our playthrough, now we just got through Act 1. I'm like, fuck, man, like this shit's intense. But
I will say though, it beats the hell out of Redfall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the cutscenes are like 1,000 times better. Like the gunplay is like 1,000,000,000 times better, and it's just 100%. Like it's a fun game. And the fucking open world or whatever that we're in, open area, I guess you can say it's more detailed. There's more enemies. Like there's more things to do in this confined thing.
It's not a narrow path, which feels nice. There is like you have to go through these little checkpoints. You always have to walk through this doorway or this place.
Yeah, it's still safe house to safe house. Everything in between is how you get there.
Yeah, it feels like there's a nice open circle, then that one choke point to the next section of the level. Big open circle, next checkpoint. It does feel good, like in the woods. That first set of woods that you hit and you're jumping down the ledges and stuff after you get through the highway, it feels good. Like there's a nice big open area to play, but you don't want to get separated either because the game punishes you for separating as well.
Yeah, you definitely get over it. I went to a corner to one time and got mobbed by like 100 of them, I swear.
And also the thing I would like. This is the thing that really pisses me off. Mike, I said on Twitter, there's bandages that you can use to actually heal yourself. Cool. Awesome, 100%. They're scarce. And by scarce, I mean damn near non-existent unless you're at the beginning of the game. Which is why I say we gotta check the difficulty again.
Well, and the other thing the other thing that you have to take into account is there are roles. It treats it like the like dungeon mechanics in many games. It treats it like a party. You have to fill out a party, and if you don't, fuck you. And it's like D&D. If you
Yep.
don't have the correct party, fuck you. You're not playing.
Well, I wish we got to choose our two bots that we're running with, because
Yes.
Oh,
cause
Jesus
we're
Christ,
setting
yeah.
up in a private lobby, because I don't want to run and risk any issues with online connection with them. But it's just like, yeah, you never know what you're gonna get with those two bots, and they're kind of just there
Yeah.
to revive you because they don't do anything else helpful.
If they do that.
Yeah, big if.
They've definitely stood over our bodies quite a few times.
They
Right.
just looked at you and they're like, "Hey, would be awfully cool if I revived you, wouldn't it?"
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah, it
Well,
would.
I'm not.
So let's talk about the next game though here real quick. Roger, you picked up Forza Horizon 5 again. It's been a long time since I've seen this game on the list. What made you do this again? Is it the
Well,
Barbie
Disney
cars?
got Game Pass. No. But that's why Disney wanted to pick it up, as she wanted to play the Barbie cars. But Disney picked up Forza Game Pass because she was able to get it for $1 again. So once
Yeah.
she did that, I was
Oh.
like, well, let's try Forza again. We'll beat the last few races we have left in the story, and then we'll see what we do from there. Because she wants to play Exoprimal, and I'm excited because we need a 5th player. And I was like, if you want to play this, you can. It's like a WoW dungeon, and it feels good.
Yeah. She wants to run with us tonight. Let's do it. Let's definitely do it.
Yeah.
Let's kick it back over to you, Paul. Paul, you actually beat 2 games. You beat Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So now I finally have somebody to talk the game about. Let's talk about it spoiler free, because I know there's some people that are listening that have not beaten it. What was your thoughts on the overall story, the gameplay, and the future of Star Wars Jedi?
Well, one thing that was very interesting is there was a rumor that came out that apparently, the main character for the series wasn't supposed to be, Mr. Kestis. Like, he wasn't going to be the main character at all. And they said that I believe the lead character was supposed to be a black character. And all I'm going to say is, because no spoilers, if you see where Seer's character leads, you could pretty much kind of tell, okay, she was supposed to be the main character. Like, there's like no other way. Like, and it's very interesting how they wrote her character, because certain things that happen with that can easily lead into where Cal's character actually leaves off at. So I'll leave that part at that.
Yeah.
The ending of the game. Well, first off, the villains of the game and everything. It's amazing. Like, they did a perfect Star Wars story that doesn't necessarily affect the full, like, story that we know that happens after Order 66, but it sets up some very interesting things that can literally be happening in the background of all the movies, and nobody will ever know
Right.
until they actually reveal this crap. So this is arguably, I understand when you say that this is possibly like the best like Star Wars story in a game, because I'm going to wait to see how the third one kind of leaves off at.
Yeah.
Because if they could knock it out the park with the third one, then as a complete story, this definitely may be up there with like Knights of the Old Republic. And like, to me, nothing ever touches that. But this is like knocking on that door right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What did you think of the whole tie-in to that character that survives? I'm trying not to spoil the timeline or any of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. What I will
The
say
first
is,
villain, I guess.
yeah. Okay. So if you obviously play the first one before you play this one and everything, and for those who are kind of worried of like, oh, it's like a Dark Souls-y game, it's a Souls-like game, don't worry. The only thing you
Not
really
like
got to worry.
Souls.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
really
isn't.
not. Like, it's just, people see, you could dodge roll and they automatically think it's a Souls game. But if you are worried about anything of a difficulty spike and everything, by all means, if you just want to play hack and slash, they have a difficulty mode that's not easy. It's literally called story mode, and it literally makes the game a whole hack and slash. So
Yep.
by all means, play it like that and just play it for the story. Once I got halfway through the game, I was like, okay, like, I got enough powers where I could pretty much just run through anybody. So I literally switched it to story mode and finished the whole game in story mode, because once you're knocking people's heads off, although I did hear later on in the game, some of the bosses and people do get more difficult.
Yeah, they should.
As well as if you do the bounty hunting missions.
Yeah.
17 bosses, do all of them, and
Yep.
do the last rumor with that.
Yep.
Wink, wink.
I've
You're
already.
gonna have a blast.
I didn't do it, but I seen the video and I was like, man, I missed out on it because I'm not going back to doing them. But I was just like, I'm gonna watch the video of what happens because that's pretty awesome what they do with that.
It's they you can tell that the people who made this actually know what the hell they're talking about because it's little things, it's little nods
It's
and
fan
winks to fans.
services. Yeah, it's fan service.
100%.
And they didn't go over the top. Where like a lot of the recent Star Wars movies and TV show, like they've been doing too much fan service. Like every little fucking thing in the thing has to, in the movies and TV show, have to tie back to something that has already been done before. And you're like, it doesn't have to. Like Rogue One did a phenomenal job where they balanced the fan service, where it was just enough little nods here and little nods there, but it didn't go over the top where every scene had to include something like that. And and I definitely enjoy that. But obviously we've been talking about what we've been playing a lot. So Roger, let's talk about your list here again. Deep Rock Galactic and Gunfire Reborn and Terraria and actually Pathfinder Kingmaker. Tell me about these games, man. You've been playing games every day, every hour. Do you even sleep?
So I had Pathfinder Kingmaker and I had Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I picked up those two games during a sale and I was like, I played Pathfinder Kingmaker and I was like, man, this is not the kind of strategy game I want to play when I want to play a computerized tabletop game.
Right.
And honestly, I went back to it and I was like, this is a lot better than I thought. I just had to actually stop being such a critic about it and just take for a moment and be like, they're trying something new. How does it play out? And it really does. It just plays out so well. And so I decided, I was going to keep playing it. Really, really fun. Gunfire Reborn, played it for 2 hours, 3 hours the other day with Marshmallow, GF Slugs, and Spooky Crew. Just playing it because it's fun. And then I picked up Deep Rock Galactic because Marshmallow has been talking about it nonstop, like, hey guys, who wants to play? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's play, dude. I'm excited. Let's go play. So I decided to play that and just went back after a long time and only been playing for a few hours. But that's the thing, like some of these games I just pick up for 3 hours a day and that's it. But not even just a day, but for one day. So that's kind of what's been going on, just jumping around to a bunch of different sort of jump in quick match games.
Right. And then Paul, your last game here is the DLC for Control, the Alan Wake experience. What did you think of the ending of that?
Finally. I don't know what came over me like in the past couple days, but I just was like, I need to finish everything that I'm like 95% done, so that way I could just start clearing my storage. That DLC, again, Remedy just has a very, very good way of just knowing how to write a story and then turning it into a game. Because by no means are these written as games, by any means whatsoever. They're not written as, here's mission 1, here's mission 2, here's checkpoint, and we'll just consider chapter 1 mission 1. No. These are just stories, and they're like, hey, listen, we'll find a break and end mission whenever we do. In this DLC, at times I felt as though it was getting a little too long, but it perfectly sets up just the mindset and the place in which Alan Wake is in now, leading into Alan Wake 2. And for those who have not played Control, I would urge you to play the game. It is not long. I mean, you could probably beat the main story in like 2 sittings, like if we're going to be completely honest. Extremely short game and stuff. Especially once you unlock the levitation power, the game becomes 1000% easier. But the DLC is probably, if I'm gonna be real, the most challenging thing out of the whole game. The DLC as a whole is more challenging than the whole main story, the whole campaign. But again, amazingly written. I can't love them enough for their writing. So please go play that.
Yeah, definitely. I played them, beat them. definitely enjoyed it. Looking forward to Alan Wake 2 and then hopefully Control 2 or whatever they do in the future with that. But the last game here on my list before we move on to the upcoming game releases is I'm currently streaming Mass Effect 3. I finally started that. Obviously, I played Mass Effect 2 a couple months ago, and here I am with Mass Effect 3. I know, Paul, you checked me out, and also Marshmallow came through, and we were talking about it. And so far, yeah, it feels good. I just don't miss the game, like the time of gaming where you have to hold A to run. I don't miss that in video games at all because like Gears of War did that stupid shit and Mass Effect also did it. I'm like, man, this is a really clunky like control for a game, and I'm like, I'm glad that we have moved all the way away from that shit, and now it's just press the thumbstick in to run on a controller. So, but overall, I mean, the game still continued where it left off. The story seems pretty interesting too. It's just like, holy fuck, like Cerberus is doing some fucked up things, at least in the beginning of the game. And I'm just curious to see how the game really progresses and what all of my previous decisions from Mass Effect 1 and 2, how they actually have an effect into it. Because like you seen me when I was loading up and you were like, import your character from Mass Effect 2, and I was like, yeah. I was just reading everything because it lists all of your decisions that you made, like the important decisions.
Yes, it does.
And I was like, oh shit, like that, everything that I did fucking matters, and it's going to affect this game somehow. And I'm just really curious to see how that plays out.
Now question. I didn't get to continue watching you. How many characters do you have still alive going into Mass Effect 3?
I think 6 of them survived the Mass Effect 2.
Great. So one of my friends, Santino and everything, he didn't really know what he was doing. So there's a mission in Mass Effect 2 in which, like, your ship has to like shoot out and have a little battle or whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of his people actually died because he never upgraded like a lot of the shit, or he just made very bad decisions. So he has damn near like nobody in his team in Mass Effect 3 except for like maybe like 3 people.
Damn. So yeah, I'll take my 6.
Yeah. Also, by the way, my computer just turned on right now. So yeah.
There you go. But yeah, man.
You're gonna enjoy the game, though.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. For sure. But let's move on though to the upcoming game releases. All right, Roger. We got a decent list here, not that long, but there is a heavy hitter here. So if you just want to dive right into it.
Yeah, so let's just start off with the two that aren't so heavy hitters. On July 31st, we've got Formula One Manager 2023 dropping. This drops for every console except for the Switch. Then we've got Venba. Venba is a story game about a Indian family that moves to Canada, and you're kind of playing through almost a Western version of a visual novel, if you will, about cooking. An Indian mother's journey through her cooking. But the big heavy hitter for this week, though, that we're all talking about is Baldur's Gate 3, the third installment of one of the biggest franchises in gaming history. Now, when I say biggest franchises, I mean one of the most impactful games to ever be released, Baldur's Gate 2. This is the third installment. It's leaving early access this Friday. Now, if you played the game already and know a lot about the game, it is about to be overhauled. So anything you do before Friday doesn't matter because the game is going to be completely rewritten from the ground up. So if you're excited for Baldur's Gate 3, Friday is the day. We're going to see some really, really good gameplay coming from there.
Yeah.
And that's only on PC.
Yeah, because the console version is being released indefinitely. Down the road. We don't have an exact date.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Isn't it also launched for PS5? I think it's just the Xbox version that's being held.
Not right away.
If I'm not mistaken.
No, PC only right now. The full version's launching this Friday on PC only.
Yeah, the PS3 version is apparently releasing sometime in August. Is the
PS5?
Yeah, the PS5. In August 2023. Sorry, that's the expected release date. But I'm sure that'll probably change. But we'll definitely see. But the other game, Venba, that's coming to Game Pass day one, so that'll be an easy, if you want to check it out, easier access. It looks pretty cool. Maybe have like an interesting story. It seems like a visual novel almost, but only time will tell. But Roger, I know you're really excited for Baldur's Gate 3, right? Have you played any of the early access, or is this going to be your first time diving into it?
I'm going fresh. Disney and I are going to play. Hopefully, we get to play this week, but our kid's on the way this week, so it's up in the air whether we'll get to play it, but this is definitely the game I want to play, and Disney's excited for it as well.
Right, I hear the click clack behind you there, typing in.
Attacking the keyboard.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't sleep on F1 Manager 2023 either. I know that this is usually a big time game. F1 is doing huge, and then this is just the manager experience. So anybody that likes that simulation experience of being the coach or more or less of the team, definitely go check that out. But let's move on here to the upcoming industry news because there's a decent amount of topics that we got to get into here. Exactly, Marshmallow. Baldur's Gate 3, you get the fuck a bear, aka the Druid. So it's going to be game of the year for sure. But I'm going to kick it off here with an update in regards to Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. And it's not necessarily the deal itself, it's more along the lines of Hasbro, who licenses a lot of their product out to Activision Blizzard. And this has something to do with the Transformer IPs. And basically, all of the older games are apparently lost in the archives of Activision Blizzard. And they don't know which hard drive it's on. I guess they don't know how to find that kind of stuff. So it's really curious, but they really want Xbox to make sure that they find these games and then get them the Game Pass just to revive and just to preserve the games, because if they're lost on a hard drive, then SOL. But if if Xbox can find a way to find them and get them onto a service like Game Pass where they can preserve them, I think that'll be really important there. So only time can tell. On to other news here with Microsoft, though. They are issuing bans to people who are using emulators on the Xbox Series S and X if you are in the retail mode. So you can't use your regular console and try to use emulator because more or less you are pirating a game and they don't support pirating. So Roger, what's your thoughts on this? Because I know you dabbled into some emulation before. What's your take on this? Should it be allowed? Allegedly.
No, I agree. You're not paying for the game when you're emulating, so like I understand completely. Like it is theft at the end of the day. Like if there is a market and you're readily able to buy the game and play it, then I'm all for it. The only reason that anyone should ever emulate is for the posterity of a game. Somebody like the developer, the publisher, they say fuck you and they don't want to re-release the game. Like then that's on them. Like at the end of the day, you know, I'm not going to go looking on third-party markets and paying $100 for the original version of Metroid Prime. Right. You know, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm not going to pay $500 for a GameCube somewhere on a third-party system that I don't even know the quality of it. Like, it's just, it's not feasible. It's not correct. It's not okay to make people do that. If you're going to make the game legally available, like to buy a new copy and play it right now, I don't agree with piracy. But if you can't get the game, then that's a problem. So I agree. Like, yeah, find these people, ban them, because you shouldn't be playing a modern generation game illegally. Like, as Scobie said in chat, you wouldn't download a car. Yeah, the meme is there. It's funny, but like, why? You know, these people... We won't get new games, if you don't pay for the games that are already existing.
Right. Yeah, you definitely hit it on the head. It's like, because I recently bought a PS2, and buying some of the PS2 games are even kind of expensive. Like, I just seen Play and Trade just recently got the Mass Effect, or not Mass Effect, Jesus, Metal Gear Solid collection, and it's just worth like $115. Like, that's how much he's selling it for, and I'm like, that's insane. Wow. Like, it's just 3 Metal Gear games that I can probably just go buy on my Xbox.
And is it brand new?
No.
Exactly.
It's used, but like you're just because of this, the supply is like minimum. Like that's the issue. Is like like we talked about it last week or the week before. Like games like behind 2010, 80% of those games are almost like unaccessible commercially. That's a problem. We don't have game preservation, and I'm glad Xbox has been on board with trying to preserve games as much as possible. I mean, even look at the new arcade system that they recently brought to the Xbox platform, where it has like 1,500 games, and whether they're good or bad, but those games are from like the Sega and the Nintendo, like all of those old consoles, and they're bringing them here. They're preserving the games, and the thing is, the developer behind that, they were like, thank goodness for Phil Spencer over at Xbox, because he was the reason why they were able to fund that, make that happen, and then also brought it to Xbox. So that's pretty dope. So we got to see more things along the line of that.
That's the crazy part about the whole thing. Like 3 things. 1, this is the reason why I said last time when I was on the podcast, that I'm happy of the acquisition that Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard King. It was for this reason because they have the whole backwards compatibility stuff going on, even though they did cancel the project, but they can bring it back now,
Mhm.
and it's for the preservation of these old games. And yes, I do believe you also, Roger, you did hit it on the head. When it's like retro games and stuff, like going past a certain point, emulating, do what you got to do because, like you said, I'm not about to pay all this money for games that just aren't like readily available. But I also do find it funny how they're gonna be banning these people for doing it on the console, and if they don't find those Transformer games on that goddamn hard drive, then they're about to be emulating the shit out of that on the Xbox.
Yeah, pretty much,
So,
pretty much.
we'll see where this goes with.
But at least they'll own the rights to those games, so at least they're not illegally
Facts.
stealing the game.
This is true as well. Yes, pay
So
them damn developers, man.
right. So we'll see how that goes. But Roger, if you want to talk about our favorite developer over here with Techland.
Yeah, so Tencent and Techland are now partnering. They're announcing a partnership, and currently in process of being the major shareholder of Techland. Tencent is looking to acquire them as a shareholder takeover.
Yeah, pretty interesting there. Because I've referenced Techland being our favorite developer because these are the guys that made Dying Light 2 and Dying Light 1. So it's like maybe we get something better here with more money. I don't know. Maybe we'll get 1,000 hours worth of content instead of 500, even though we don't need 500. Like I just hope that we see progression with them and not regression. So only time will tell in
I'm
regards to them.
scared about that. I'll be honest. I don't know if that's going to happen because Ubisoft for like 10 years was just going through like a hostile takeover, and Tencent came in and like saved them from that and bought like all this stock and just dumped load of money. And Ubisoft is still being Ubisoft out here.
Yeah.
So I pray that this helps them maybe drop from 500. Let's go 200 at the least. All right, let's start
Right,
there.
right. Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and to chime in here with Marshmallow, I think the issue with Lost Odyssey is it had something to do with like the copyrights for probably some of the song or the music that's in the game. That's really what
Ah,
happens to a lot of games is they lose the rights to use a certain song in a game, and then the person who owns those rights are no longer alive or whatever. Like it's a long process to make it happen. So they better like
okay.
they just go along the lines of we're just not going to bring it back, or allow it to be played on backwards.
It's worth less than the amount of effort it will take.
Right, yeah. So like the business decision makes no sense, but in the game preservation, it's like fuck. Like how is there a way around this to make this happen other than like he said is buying the physical copy and putting it in your console and hoping that it works. Because honestly, that's the issue with buying old consoles like you were talking about. I don't know if my PS2 was going to work when I bought it. I spent $90 on the console. I hope it works.
Hmm.
And I hope it works for a long time. But like we think about it, like VCRs. If we want to watch VHS tapes on a VCR, we got to be cautious of putting that damn thing in there because it might eat the tape. Because the technology is
Yeah.
just that old now. It doesn't work as what it used to be.
It's
So
not digital. It's an analog technology, whereas the PS2 at least is a little more digital than something like that. So
right,
you don't have to worry as much about some of the moving parts that just will eat things, but
right. Well, I mean,
still
good thing if I bump my PS2, it's not going to eat my disc like the Xbox 360 did. I bumped it, it was like ate the fucking disc up.
Hey,
Oh,
there'll be no 360 slander here while I'm here, alright?
Man, I did that shit. I did that to my
Yeah,
Call of
it
Duty World
destroyed
at
my
War.
Dragon's Bug.
World at War, I killed it, and the only thing I could play on it was multiplayer. Couldn't play the campaign, couldn't play zombies on it anymore.
Yeah, I destroyed my Dragon's Dogma with that and everything. I was heated. I went back. I said, "Hey, what's Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen? Nah, I'll buy that instead."
Yeah, so that shit sucked. But I just want to move on to our industry news here. Next topic is FaZe Clan. Man, a lot of esports organizations basically like bought their way into the scene, and then like the funding stops coming in, and then the investors also pull out. And FaZe Clan was one of them, and they're
it's
looking.
lucrative.
Yeah, it's very lucrative, and they're looking at two possible offers to buy them out. One of them is GameSquare, and the other one is Enthusiastic Gaming. Never really heard of either of these, but maybe FaZe gets a resurgence. I mean, I remember when they first came into the scene and they were huge and they were endorsed by Snoop Dogg and Snoop Dogg joined the FaZe Clan. Like it was so cool to be a part of FaZe Clan, and then they like completely crumbled and they didn't really work from the bottom up. Like how I'm gonna do a shameless plug right now. Shoot to Win. We are building and grinding from the ground up without any financial investment. Everything we have now is because of all the hard work and the investment and the time that we put into it. So that's the difference between that.
Esports, I think you also have to take into account with esports. It's not like a founded has a big league or anything. You're joining specific games, and they are very lucrative. Like for example, one of the most recent sports teams to be created was in hockey. I think it was the Vegas Knights or
yeah.
something.
Yep.
So like the Vegas Knights, they're joining an already existing sort of league that has a lot of people, and it's not like hockey's just gonna disappear tomorrow. Okay, like it's not like Overwatch 2 where at the end of the year, is it going to be around? We don't know. We talked about it last week. Overwatch 2 may be done this year.
Right.
Like this may be the last year for a competitive scene, and that's the problem. You now have to branch out into multiple games, hope they stick, and you still have to pay players their contracts even if, say for example, the league stops. Then what do? You don't make money, and you also have to make money off those leagues. You have to win, and it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
that easy.
And I think also I do, for those of you who are listening and stuff, just keep in mind that we are separating the two when we're talking about esports versus the actual FaZe Clan entity, because the esports side and everything, they're looking to sell that, but that is separate from the FaZe Clan that we knew back in the days from the quick scoping and all that stuff. Please understand, we're not saying that the FaZe Clan just popped up out of nowhere. No. Trust me, I have an Optic Gaming flag literally hanging on my goddamn wall. I know the history of the shit and everything.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, we're separating the esports side, which they are looking to sell, and the actual organization as a whole and everything. We know the origins of the whole Hoodie Org stuff. But yes, like you said, Roger, like if you're not making money, like the FaZe Clan Call of Duty team, they're making money, but they're also not winning. Like you're coming in second place all year long, so you are bringing something home, but the money is when you're coming in first and stuff. And like this past season for the Call of Duty team, you won one major out of the whole year. The year before that, you came in second or third place all year long. Even in World Champs, you choked every time. The organization, they spend too much money, and like you said, they're not. We need that ROI now, and it's not coming in, especially when you got people doing racing sims and you're paying out the ass money and everything, excuse my language, but you're paying people to play racing sims and stuff like that, and you're sending them across, go to a different country to play. It's too much money. You're not seeing
You have to make that money back, and it's hard. You
Yes.
know, and not
Right.
everyone's gonna make that money back, but when you get that big, it's not like you can stay open. Like a team should be only like with this, you're not playing one sport, and you're not
Yes.
getting guaranteed revenue because it's not like you're getting a takeaway from people watching you. You're not.
Right.
The league is, and then you have to hope that you're making that money back from the league. Whereas like with a real grounded sport, you own your own stadium. You have your own fans come to your stadium. You make every
Yes.
dollar there net, not net, but you make every gross bill that comes into your stadium, and then you net whatever. With this, it's a lot different. You don't have that physical audience ticket price that really sells your stuff.
Right. Which honestly, that was
100%.
going to be my next thought to you guys was like, does the league have to pay the teams? Like because like the teams are what's bringing the entertainment, bringing the people to the show, and earning the money. But I was thinking about like, okay, well if they don't, well what if they implement like each team actually has an arena that they host the tournaments at, and everybody comes to their tournament and they host it there, and then they get that portion of it. Then the next tournament it's hosted by another team or whatever.
It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I get what you're saying, but it doesn't. So Optic is like a brand and stuff like that. They joined NV Gaming, and now they rebranded all their teams as Optic and everything. So their Valorant team and all that stuff like that. They actually bought a stadium. So with their money, they can go ahead and do that and stuff like that because it's their place. They can recoup some of that. These organizations, and stuff like they don't have it. Luminosity and all of them and stuff like that. These organizations they don't, was it Cloud9 and all of them and stuff, they don't have their own stadiums. But also the issue is that they're having, like you said, they have teams in different games.
Hmm.
And when you have it's, and again, we're also talking about different organizations. So with Activision, when they do Call of Duty and Overwatch and stuff, you also got to understand the main reason why they're also not making money is because you're not allowed to make any money unless it's by the league. So if you want to do like a over the weekend 20K tournament, you're not allowed unless it's ran by the league and stuff. If you want to go ahead and say, hey, listen, we're going to do donations so that whoever wins the thing, you win the pot of what everyone donated, you're not allowed. You can't do none of that. Unless it's actually agreed by the league that we would allow this, you do it. Not to mention, they have to pay league dues. We're talking about 25 mil for a team.
And
It's
it's
insane.
every league is different too. That's the thing. You're
Yes.
playing in 1, 5, 20 different game leagues. Not just like it's not just like you're playing hockey. You're playing every shooter that's out there, and it may only live, like we're gonna talk about later, Gundam, for example, only lived a year. So what if you bought into that and then they had an esports league for all of 6 months and they're like, yeah, game's done, sorry guys, and you're just like,
Right. I mean, we're
What?
looking at that not right now with Overwatch, like you were just saying.
yeah,
Like
that's what I mean.
the Overwatch League
So-
might not exist next year.
Exactly. And this was the first year for Overwatch 2, and it's just like, yeah, it's not working out, guys. Do you want to keep playing? And the players are like, we get to vote, I guess. And it's not really the
And
players
it's
voting.
25 mil to make a team in Overwatch. And then they canceled the payments, and it's like, okay, do we get our money back? No.
Activision Blizzard made out like a bandit again.
Oh man, that's fucking great.
Bobby Kotick, man.
So let's-
Bobby Blonde.
Let's move on here to our next topic because this is just as crazy too. Honestly, as Roger, PlayStation was in the news again this week.
Yeah, so Spider-Man 2 seems to be potentially really forward-thinking of a game, I guess, because they may be banned in the Middle East. I believe Saudi Arabia and a few other Middle Eastern countries are banning Spider-Man 2 from their country because of content in the game that is either too forward-thinking, not Islamic enough for their...
Or if it has
for-
LGBTQ in it, like because they'll
That's-
ban
I
those
was just
games.
about to ask who kissed. I was just
Right.
going to ask
Yeah.
that.
You know, somebody's eating a taco and they're not digging it. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see why, because they haven't like detailed the reason why it's been blocked. But we've seen plenty of other games be banned in the Middle East, so this isn't the first time it's ever
Yeah.
been happening. It's just
And-
this is
and they
going to be
do
a
it
really
for so
big
little.
game. Yeah, like I said, if a girl kisses another girl, they're like, nope, not allowed. This game's banned. Like it's just that minimum. But yeah, let's move on here, Roger. There was another interesting take here, another acquisition that did happen this week.
Yeah, a big acquisition happened this week. Capcom just bought one of the studios that helps them with some of their biggest games and some big games that weren't even theirs. Capcom acquired Sword Cane Studio. This is a studio that helped with Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, and Hi-Fi Rush. So this is it's not a big studio, but it's a supporting studio. So
Right.
this studio is supported on a lot of decent sized games, Final Fantasy 16 being a AAA game but not as successful as say Street Fighter 6 or the indie craze, not really indie craze, the single A game Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, and they also apparently, I'm looking at it here, they helped out with like the new Pokemon Snap, Monster Hunter series. So like these guys help out a fucking ton across the entire gaming
They have a
industry.
decent portfolio. And it's like, it's not like, Raven Software where it's like only Call of Duty. Like, no,
Right.
they're like, hey, they got a wide wingspan.
We
man.
need money. What do you need help with?
Yeah.
So these guys are really known for graphics studio, like computer graphics. So like they acquired the 3D and 2D computer graphics studio. So like they're really known for working with graphics. So makes sense because Capcom, like honestly, like a lot of their games do look fucking incredible. I mean, look at Exo Primal. Exo Primal looks great. Street Fighter 6 looks pretty
Yeah.
damn good. Like even if it's not hyper realistic, it still looks really good.
Their games may not play well, but they look good.
So to end out our industry news, it's kind of more of like an update to an acquisition that was already announced. It's Sega buying out Rovio, which is the guys behind like Angry Birds and stuff like that. So they have now officially received all of the regulatory approvals for the cash offer for this. So we'll be seeing this finalized within probably within the next week or so. So I'm ready for the Sonic and Angry Birds crossover as soon as possible.
Let's go, Microsoft. Come in and swoop that up.
Right, they bought
Sonic.
Sega's buying out Rovio. Xbox is going to buy out Sega. We got it. It makes sense. Master Chief and Sonic and Angry Birds. I got it. It's
There we
going to
go,
be pretty
man.
good. But that's all of our industry news. Let's move on here to our upcoming gaming news. So obviously we got to kick it off this week with the Xbox news, and honestly this one's huge. Paul, me and you were rapping back and forth about it a little bit throughout the week, because I didn't even know this was a thing at first, but Square Enix had an event in Las Vegas, and this is where they brought out Phil Spencer on the stage, and they announced that they are going to basically redoing the partnership, redoing the relationship they have with one another, and they're starting off by bringing Final Fantasy 14 to the Xbox for the first time. And when they did announce this, they also announced the new expansion that is also coming out. And this is huge. Obviously, Square Enix just went through a new leadership change, and this was one of the first moves that new CEO, that new leadership team did. They were like, hey, we need to fucking fix up this relationship with Xbox because they're booming, they're firing on all cylinders. What are we doing here, guys? We're dropping the ball. So what's your take on this new partnership or new deal that they got going on with Square Enix?
The age of Sony.
Yes.
The age of Sony may be over. Like that's honestly what I'm feeling. Like for Final Fantasy 14 to hit Xbox, it's not the mainline Final Fantasy games, but it is a pretty successful game. Like
Right.
Final
This
Fantasy
is the MMO, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So it just adds to that player base.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what if they go, hey guys, this is coming to Game Pass?
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. Like, if Final Fantasy 14 hits Game Pass, I'm probably gonna log into it.
I might have to check it out. I haven't played a Final Fantasy game probably since the PS2. Might just have to give it a go.
I'm trying to see if I can find a quote. It's not showing up anymore. But there was a quote in which the head of Square Enix actually came out and said it. But I'm gonna be honest. I think it's pretty much hitting where Platinum Games is currently. Whereas they've made so many deals in which basically to get that influx of cash, which is perfectly fine. But they're realizing, like we spoke about, these organizations, there's not a lot of ROI. You get that instant flush of cash, but like Sony's going through right now, they're realizing, hey, we need multiplayers. We need a constant flow of cash. We don't just need this 3 times or maybe 2 times a year and this big hits of, dump trucks of cash. No. We need a constant flow of it. So Destiny 2 helps them out a lot with that. And I think Square Enix is starting to realize that as well. These contracts have quite literally screwed them over. And it's good to see because more people get to experience the game now and everything. So now, granted, yes, it is a monthly bill, but you actually get to play the game. I believe it's free up until like level 60, I believe, something like that. Some nonsense like that. But regardless, this is gonna be great. It truly is. Because it's gonna now, hopefully, it mends the relationship of whatever the hell was going on with Square Enix and Microsoft. But there is a new guy in charge. Yes, right there. They said it with Final Fantasy. They said it with Final Fantasy 16. The reason why this stuff kind of really happened with Sony is, hey, listen, they helped us develop it. We needed more hands on deck, and they dropped the cash. So. Right. You're right with the money.
He was a lump sum and said, "You bring it to us like you've always have, and here's some money.
Yep.
It makes money." And they were like, "Yeah, you got it."
Right.
And I think it's impartial because of the new guy who's in charge over there at Square Enix.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
yeah, we'll see. And this is the first of many to come, according to the new CEO. Basically saying that all the future stuff they're planning to try and basically bring to the Xbox platform. But I'm wondering, like, how's it going to play out with older ones? Do we see Final Fantasy 16 a year down the road come to the Xbox platform? Because ultimately, like, that contract can be amended. They can amend those contracts and be like, sorry, Sony, but we want to bring this game to the Xbox now. They can do that.
Yeah, here's the money back.
Right, take this back.
And there's a lot that came to the Microsoft platform. Like we are sleeping a little bit on the amount of games that do make it there. It just makes it a late, like really late, like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 7. There are a bunch of Final Fantasy games that end up on the computer. 10, 13, 13.2, 13.2, or 13.3, Lightning Returns. Like, they're all there. These are pretty much all the modern classics for the Final Fantasy, not classics, the modern Final Fantasy games. The double digit games are almost all there except for the newest one.
Right. So I'm really excited for this. But just a quick update in regards to Final Fantasy 14. It is getting like a huge fucking update to the graphics. So that it says it's getting a major graphic update and much more to come with the new expansion. So be on the lookout for that. But in regards to Xbox software stuff, this one was pretty cool. But it kind of has me like questioning is like you will now be able to map keyboard keys to a controller button. So I'm like, am I playing with both? Like, am I going to have the controller in my hand and the keyboard right underneath? Like,
No,
what's the purpose
your
of this?
controller is the keyboard. Well, didn't we just say that Final Fantasy 14 was coming to the Xbox? Duh.
But I can just hook up.
There's your mapping.
I can hook up my keyboard right to the Xbox.
What if you don't have a keyboard, bud? What if you?
You can't go to the dollar store. Yeah, well, yeah.
No.
No, that makes sense for the
Yeah.
the assistive gamers that need help. That makes sense. But for us, I don't see a purpose behind it.
No,
I don't think
but
it's for
it's
us.
there for the people who don't have those things. Like, keyboard support was on the PS2. Like, it's not unknown to have it. But like, what if somebody doesn't have a keyboard? Like, modern people don't have desktops. They have laptops.
So basically,
Everyone has laptops.
what I understand is that they're taking the work from the developer and putting it into the gamer hands. Like they don't want the developer to basically put a console version of the game. They're just going to give you the PC version of the game, but you can just map your controller to it. Like I don't see the purpose. Like you could just make it so the buttons translate to the controller immediately.
This goes to my theory that I told you about earlier in the week, Vic. That my big theory is that Microsoft's going to be like, hey, listen, you guys like how you could play, the console, Xbox games, whatever. We bring them all to PC. Well, download Steam on your Xbox, and now you can play all your PC games on your console. Like, I have a very, very funny feeling that this is literally what they're trying to do. So sooner or later, we're going to be playing The Last of Us on Xbox and everything, but through Steam, man. But like I said, you make up a very good point that not everyone has a keyboard. Now, me personally, because I'm a half-assed thinker in which one day I'm gonna build my PC. I have all my peripherals, so I have like my Razer keyboard and my Razer mouse and
But you
everything.
can use them on a lot of other devices. Like you can use your Razer mouse on your laptop. You can use a mouse and keyboard on your phone if you really want to. Like, it's not
Samsung
like
Dex.
you can't use them across different devices. It's just
Yes.
it's not everyone has a keyboard. People have laptops. That's where the current generation of like computers are. Everyone gets a laptop nowadays, whether it's for school or personal use, because they're cheap. They're a dime a dozen nowadays.
Right. So, also in regards to Xbox software, the new home experience is beginning to roll out to the new Series S and X. This is a quote from the Xbox Wire. This update is designed from player feedback and makes it easier to discover new games, rediscover games you have already loved, connect with communities, and create a more personalized experience. And honestly, this is great. I actually didn't have it there for the first couple of days that it came out public, and I came home today from work and it was already downloaded, and I was like, yo, this shit's clean. You can see much more of your dynamic background that they keep giving you brand new ones, but I couldn't see it because most of it was already covered by the tiles. Tiles are much smaller, more of them on the screen, like it limiting the ad space. Everything's more organized. The quick access to stuff at the top, it looks more modern. I mean, we've had the same layout since the Xbox One basically came out. It was time for something a little bit newer. So
They did last second update it. I will say that though. So I'm not in the alpha program. I'm trying my hardest to get in there. Every time they send out a new list of saying, "Hey, you can apply for it," I'm trying, but I'm in the beta. So I've had this update for quite some time. But the one little thing that they added, so whichever tile that you're on for what game you're picking, it's enlarged a little, and all the other ones are small. Now, the first one used to just be big, and all the ones were small. And even if you went to the smaller ones, the first one still stood big. All of them went small. The little this update that they sent out, when you move it, it makes big whichever one you're on. I
Right.
do love that little thing because that little big tile there, even though you're on something else, was pissing me off. I ain't gonna lie,
Right.
but beautiful. I love to see my background.
Yeah, hell yeah. And what's even cool is like if you're a very simplistic, minimalistic person, you have like a really basic background. Whenever you highlight a game on that top bar, it's going to pull out like a cover art from that game and put it as your
Yep.
background then, which is pretty cool. So definitely enjoying that there. And then also they added Venmo. You can use Venmo on the Xbox now. So did you
Ooh,
get
let me get my
more?
credit card stolen on Xbox now.
Yeah, it's just another way of payment. Like they're like it was a podcast I was listening to earlier, and they were like, "Yep, Xbox or any company's going to do whatever they can to bring more options to get your money." That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I'm surprised it took them this long to get Venmo there, especially at
Let
how
me get
big it is.
Cash App on Xbox real quick, man. I need
Right.
Cash App.
Right.
They do that 10% off all the time on Cash App. I need that.
So, and then in regards to hardware here from Xbox, this one was really fucking interesting. I know we're all pretty big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans, but there's a sweepstakes where you can get the first ever pizza scented Xbox controller that is themed around the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and basically, like a pizza slice gets attached to the back of the controller via the controller port, and it has like a infuser where you drop some pizza flavored scented
It's
stuff
so
in it.
horrible. It's a vape, bro. They made
It's a vape.
I heard Disney behind me just go. I was like, damn. Yeah, I feel it, dude. Like, you ever eat your food and you're just like sitting here at the computer and you're like, man, I can still smell it. And you're like, oh, it got on my hands. And like, I washed my hands twice and I can still smell like vinegar or whatever it is. Like, I'm going to be sitting there playing with a controller, finish, put it down. And like, be like, man, my hands smell like pizza. And you go to wash your hands. You're like, your hands still smell like pizza. You're like, God damn it.
Right, as you guys can see here on screen, I do have the 4 controllers that you can win themed around each one of the turtles, and it's goofy. I would never buy this if this was available to purchase, but if someone was like, "Yeah, you can have it or you want it," yeah, it'll go on my wall with my collector's items.
Need a Donatello. I ain't gonna hold you as much as I'm cracking on it. I need
Yeah.
that Donatello.
Yeah. So that's that. I was just like, that is pretty interesting. Why they even decided to do that, but go for it. Why not, right? Next up here for any of the Xbox services, will be the last games with gold, and starting August 1st, you get Blue Fire, and then you also get Inertial Drift. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going out with a pretty lackluster here with Games with Gold. I don't like Games with Gold tremendously fell off. Like that used to be huge. Used to get pretty solid games from Games with Gold, and it just got progressively worse, which we cover every time. But that will be the last one.
How do you keep giving good games away when you've already given them all away? You pretty much just given that's you have Game Pass now. So like, what do you give people who already have Game Pass?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, honestly. But it's just like games with gold were like games that you would actually own. Game Pass are games that you're renting, more or less.
Well, yeah, but you've got access to the whole catalog. Like, cool, yeah, I guess you could give me a Game Pass game I already can play if I have Game Pass. But
Right.
the idea at the end of the day is you don't want to be giving people, the golden egg. You want them to keep coming back to that goose, and that goose is Game Pass.
Yeah.
Why give away the eggs for free when you can just keep
Yeah.
them paying for it?
Yeah, for sure.
What I will say is, for the new thing for Game Pass, uh, it's supposed to be 25 games that you get for like the base.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
base, is it called Game Pass Core?
Yeah, Game
Yeah,
Pass
25.
Core.
What I'm really curious is, are they going to offer, like, all right, let's say Lies of P, it's coming out soon and stuff. Would they offer the developers an extra incentive, like, hey, yo, check, listen, if you let it go for our core members, we could dump this onto 25 games from Game Pass, and we'll give you an extra 500K on top of that. If they start doing stuff like that, it's going to be extremely hard to compete, period. Like, hey, you could get Game Pass because, we're dumping 3 games this month and everything, like heavy hitters. But one of these heavy hitters, if you at least have the core, because mine just is only for the console experience, you can get at least one of the heavy hitters. And, go ahead and upgrade and get the full thing if you want. Like, that's going to be hard to compete with.
Yeah, it's just really interesting though. Like the first 25 games that have been these are some of them that have been announced. You get Among Us, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Psychonauts 2, State of Decay 2, and Elder Scroll Online. And it's a really interesting combination of list here. Like, why are we getting Forza Horizon 4 and not 5? Why are we getting Halo
Yeah.
5 Guardians and not Infinite? Like, we're getting like the older ones. It's like giving you like a tease, like, oh, like if you like this, then get the regular Game Pass, and then you'll have access to the better
And
games.
you'll also notice that they're not all Microsoft games too, and that's the other interesting thing.
Right, yeah, they got
this
third-party
is,
stuff, too.
You know, it's definitely a mixed bag of okay games. Like none of them I'm gonna say are like this is the best game I've ever played. You know, but they're good. They're fun. You know, for a few playthroughs, and like you're also getting an MMO for free, which is nice.
Right.
My question is, when does this list reset or
Well,
refresh at least?
Well, they said they're going to update it 2 to 3 times a year, so we don't know. We don't know.
And then you're
Interesting.
gonna lose access to those 25 games and get 25 new ones.
Maybe they just take a couple away and add a couple more. I mean, especially like the third party ones, because there's a bunch of first party games on that list. But maybe the third party, like it is like a time thing. Like, hey, it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass Core for 3 months or 4 months, and then we're going to take it off and we're going to replace them with different third party games. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'm just curious to see why they transitioned to that. Like they made the whole new Game Pass tier system like really confusing altogether. Like Xbox Live Gold is no longer a thing now. It's called Xbox Game Pass Core, and that's like $10 a month. Like the price didn't change, and it's all automatically going to switch over. But then you have Xbox Game Pass for like $11 a month, but that doesn't include online. So like if you want to play anything online, join in any parties, you have to get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And it's like there's no point for that Game Pass like that subscription because you're not going to be able to really play anything without online then.
Well, here's my theory on that. When the first rumor came out that they were going to be canceling Xbox Live, period, there was a bunch of people who were saying, "Yo, no, you can't do that, because I already paid for like 3 years worth of Xbox Live." My only theory it could be is that they are trying to dampen the damage, I guess, maybe financial or maybe just pushback that people are going to have with doing this. And then maybe just bring Game Pass Core into just Game Pass as one eventually. I don't know, because it doesn't make sense. How many multiplayer, bro, is Exo Primals on Game Pass?
Right.
How are you gonna play that if
Without
I just
the
get
internet?
Game like
It doesn't make sense.
even-
It makes no sense
Yeah.
at all. But
And then
because
they-
then you look at it the other way, right? There's PC Game Pass for $10 a month, so it's $1 cheaper.
Yes.
But I don't have to pay for Xbox Live Gold because or Xbox Live because you don't have to pay for online gaming on the PC. Like it's already free on the PC.
Master Race, boys.
So
That's all I'm saying.
it's always been mind blowing why you had to pay for internet to even get to the internet to your house, and then I got to pay for internet to play it on my system. Like it just
Like,
the concept never
it's-
made sense to me.
It does. If you take one step back and realize the reason they're doing this is the infrastructure that allows you to connect to each other and play games together, chat together. Like this is an outdated concept from the early dawn of the internet as a community. Like the internet, you know, in the early days, dial up shit like that, you know, it was the wild west, but now you needed a way of corralling people together and making it a safe space and monitoring it. That takes money, and that's why we had to pay back in the day. But now you get to the point where you're like, well, we have this legacy system that's still here, but how do you pay for those things? Like the problem became that they were struggling with, you've got so many free services. Why do I need to pay to get on the internet now? It used to be like a valuable argument that, hey, we're here to build all this community monitoring and all this other stuff, but you don't need to do that as much anymore. It's already founded. that's already rolled into all of your other services that you're now doing. This should just be a complimentary service.
Right. And I mean, I guess if you're looking at it like that, like it makes sense why back in the day where the PlayStation used to get hacked and offline for a few hours, where
Exactly.
Xbox never had any issues. Like I can't say never, but like 99% of the time, Xbox Live was always running without any
100
issues.
times different. 100
Shout out
times
to
different.
Geo Haas for being the one who hacked Sony. He went to court and was court ordered to never be able to buy another Sony product again.
Oof. Big oof there.
Oof.
But let's actually move on and talk about PlayStation here because they had an update to one of
Yeah.
their games.
So PlayStation, we talked about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and how it's coming to Steam. Even better, it's coming to Steam Deck. It already got verified for the Steam Deck, so if you have it, you can play Ratchet and Clank on the go, and it'll run on an SD card, which honestly isn't bad. It's still faster than a hard drive.
It's just really mind blowing. Like it was funny. Like when they released this
Impossible.
information, they're like, it's impossible to run on anything else but the PS5. Without the PS5, this game wouldn't exist. And then it's like, well, it runs, it works, but like you and Scott talked about it before. Like, how well is it going to run? That is going to be the question.
Exactly.
How fast
if
are there
you-
going to be loading times now? Because like on the PS5, there's probably like no fucking loading times ever. So like,
You remember back as a kid, you'd draw a picture on a bunch of different pieces of paper, and you would do a flip book to go through it. I mean, that's what Ratchet and Clank on a hard drive is gonna be like. It is a flip book. You're getting like a frame a second. Like, I'm just saying.
Gotta love them slideshows, man.
I can't wait to see Digital Foundry do a deep dive into this and how it runs on both PC and in a Steam Deck because they're
Now,
definitely going to do that.
That's an interesting thing. So, Digital Foundry actually they took a launch PlayStation 4 hard drive, and they had the game running on there. And the first rift you jump through, that shit, what are they called? Is it called a kaleidoscope? The thing you look through and just spin it.
Oh, yeah.
It straight turned it. Now, granted, that is a 10-year-old hard drive from a launch PS4. Granted, okay, cool. But I am really interested to see how it goes on a SD card, and primarily because the marketing was insane, built from the ground up on a PS5 architecture. Like what? It was
You made it
impossible,
sound
but-
really cool, but
Yeah, yeah. I bought a PS5. I said, "Oh, nice little Republic, no loading times." Bet
Yeah.
that shit got shelved. So I don't know what's going on anymore.
right, it's all marketing terms. But
Yes.
go ahead, Roger, if you want to continue
Microsoft
on
the
with
same
place.
way,
No, they do. We've already seen with the
Yeah.
medium. We talked about it with the medium. Been there, done that.
Exactly. Now let's talk about the services. So PS Plus games for next month, kind of okay. Like, we're getting one good solid game, and it's worth the price of admission. First, we're gonna start out with PGA Tour 2K23. Okay game, whatever. Dreams was the PS4 game that it was kind of like the if you can dream it, you can build it, and it was the players build their own game. That was quite the interesting game back in the PS4 era, and it really kind of started a whole trend in gaming, but didn't take off like Minecraft did, for example.
Right.
But let's
Yes.
talk about Death's Door. Death's Door is the third game you can get on PS Plus monthly games, and honestly, this is cool. It's worth the price of admission because Death's Door is actually worth what, $15 on Steam? Like,
I don't know.
no, 20. It is a
Free on
$20
Game Pass.
game on
Yeah, I was
Steam.
say I had
So,
it on
like,
Game Pass for free $99.
well, you have to pay for Game Pass, but what I mean at the end of the day is if you're looking to buy a game, yeah, you can get it on Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate or whichever you use for free. But if you don't, it's a $20 game. So if
Yeah.
you're sitting there as a PC guy with a PS5, it's worth the price of your PS Plus.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we can't sleep on PGA Tour 2K23. That shit is dope. That's a really good one there that people were that people enjoy, obviously, because you have like Steph Curry and all them other players that are also in there. But moving on there, if you want to talk about Ratchet and Clank's studio,
Insomniac Games. So project director Aaron Eberhard has confirmed that they have a new multiplayer game in the works. So Insomniac Games has a new game coming.
I'm just curious to see what it is. Honestly, I mean, if they're working on Spider-Man 2 and they got Wolverine in the cooker, like what multiplayer game could they be getting?
Ultimate Alliance.
Maybe.
I'm here for one, bro.
Yeah, so We'll see how that pans out for sure. But Roger, if you want to talk about Nintendo, since we don't have Scott here this week to be our resident Nintendo spokesperson, what's going on in the Nintendo world?
We were talking about how there aren't very many games on the Nintendo service, the Switch
Yeah.
Online, that brings classic games back. And we're talking earlier in the show how posterity of games is a big issue. How do you play these excellent, really well thought out, really well designed games? So back in the Game Boy Advanced era, we had Legend of Zelda, Ocarina, or Oracle of Ages and Seasons. This was a two-pack game where you could get seasons or ages, and the game would play completely different based on the one you got. And so it was a whole story built around playing a specific way, whether it was, changing the time of year or changing the era in which you're playing the game. And it was a really interesting game, but like so many other handheld games that Nintendo has released, you can't play them without an emulator. Well, now Nintendo has brought them to an emulator, and these are two great games. One that I've never actually beaten. I got stuck in the game because as a kid, I guess I was really fucking stupid. But I'm excited to go back and play these. Like I'm excited to go to Oracle Seasons and try again.
Yeah, obviously everyone knows that I have Nintendo Switch Online because I was playing Paper Mario not that long ago, which I gotta continue my journey on that. Life's just been pretty crazy, but I never played either of
Mhm.
these Zelda games. Maybe I can check them out, but
They're really good.
hopefully they're
Honestly,
not
if you're
4 hours
looking
long
for
or like 100 hours long. I can't do them long
no, no,
games.
no. They're gonna be like 20 to 30 hours if you don't play a Legend of Zelda game. They'll be like 10 to 20 if you do. And like this, if you're looking to kind of feel Legend of Zelda for what the true classic Legend of Zelda experience is, this is it. This is a advanced version of what the classic Legend of Zelda feels like. If you want to feel the classic, the original, this is a good throwback to how they would have felt, but with a better quality of play.
True.
Dope. So let's move on here to the next topic here on the list. We got studio known as Team Kill Media. They have recently canceled the PS4 version of Quantum Error, which was an upcoming game, and it's basically because they can't get the game to run at a consistent 60 frames per second, like the PS5 version, and they weren't willing to give you a underperforming product, which I like. I wish a lot of other developers would have did the same thing because they were held back by the PS4 and the Xbox One. Should have cut ties and just made the game for the right system that could have ran at the highest fidelity, highest quality. Honestly, so good for them. Good for them.
Yep.
Roger, let's talk about an OG. We were just talking about some OGs with Zelda. This one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of blown away that Neopets was in the news for gaming. Neopets, promised new era after the crypto-driven decline is more complicated than it seems, some say. Announced that under new management alongside plans to revitalize its brand, Neopets is looking to get a resurgence. And they're looking with an in-depth statement that fans excited for a 23-year-old game is coming back. Like, what is Neopets doing to bring themselves to the forefront? This is a flash game studio. Where are they going in the 21st century? They left with the mid 2000s. And
Right.
I know people who still play Neopets. I'm excited to see what happens because I used to play Neopets
Yeah.
a lot. And I still have
Yeah.
the email address. My main email address is the one I have for Neopets.
I doubt I do. I used to play it all the time, but I went through so many emails that I doubt I have any of them that are close to what I used to sign into that. But man, if they bring Neopets back and find a way to make it fun again, I'm all for it.
My
What
question is, what type of game will it be? Like, and because
will be
if
a
they're
proper
planning
pooper?
to relaunch it, so what?
It'll be a proper pooper.
I probably
Proper
yeah,
pooper.
because like
Well,
I like
yeah.
when I think of how it will survive in today's like climate, it it cannot be one that's going to be greedy for your money because I think that for a
It's gonna
relaunch,
struggle.
yeah, because you're relaunching something, so people are going to go. Obviously, they want to get that nostalgia feeling from it, but you can't live off of nostalgia. Like you're not Pokemon. Like let's be honest. Like
Like
you can't just live off of that.
let's look at this though, for example. As Vic said, proper pooper actually may not be too far from the truth. Like that honestly is a good shot in the dark because think about it. What if you take the idea, like, what is everyone trying to do right now? Nobody's just launching a game and trying to put it on every market available. Everyone's trying to create their own market for games. So what if
Yeah.
Neopets does just that? What if they release an app that is a market for their games? You go in, you play their games, and it ties to the online, the web interface. So now whatever you do on your phone or on the website matters. So now you don't have to sit there and play on your browser. You can now open up a Neopets app on your phone, and then you can just play different games on there. And they're not hungry for your money. What if they aren't? What if they just like very little microtransactions, things like that, buy a little currency here or there, you know, what if like
Right.
that's the
Like
way they go? They try to corner that mobile market.
they can honestly implement like just mini games like on the go, like with the phone's gyroscope and
Exactly what I'm saying.
the accelerometer that's built into the phone. Like they can add a whole different take to the game.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys play Splinter Cell. I want to say it's Blacklist, but there used to be a mobile game called Spider-Bot, and it was a very trash, horrible little mobile game and everything. But you can actually get in-game points and everything, and you can do stuff in there, and it connected to your Ubisoft account. So that would be hot. Like oh, that'd be nice. I mean, they could try to do it kind of like a Pokemon style, like at least a watered down Pokemon style thing on your mobile phone and stuff like that. Just something simple, or like what Niantic's doing with Pokemon Go, maybe.
I think
don't know.
you're focusing too much on it being a simple like single game. That's the thing. Neopets isn't a single game.
This is true.
It is a lit. It is the OG like it tied all of your Flash games together. Like
Yes.
we all love Flash games. We are the Flash games generation. Like we came from mini games, the website, like mini
Mini
clip.
clip.
That's where we grew up. But Neopets was the one that said, "What if all those games cumulated into one unified experience?" Now, instead of just having a game on the go, you have their entire Flash game library right here. You don't have to go to your browser. Oh, I'm on the pooper. Let me just go spin a few times at Kronk's wheel or whatever it was called. I'm going to go sit here and check the omelet to see if the omelet's ready. You do all the things you're going to do on the browser here now. So now you can do it on the go. You do all those little mini games instead of doing the same Candy Crush loop 100 times. You're now playing 100 different mini games. It's like Mario Party on your fucking phone.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
that will work.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, what if they really reinvent the mobile market here?
That would be that. See, that would be nice because who is it? Not Unity. Epic Games. You could download the Epic Games launcher on your phone, and once you boot it up, they have like a bunch of different games you can play that is
That's what
under
I'm
Epic.
going for.
And
Now you're
that
seeing
right
where I'm
there,
at.
I get it. I fucking get
Let
it.
me ask you a question, Vic. What killed the Doom game for you?
The same gameplay loop the whole time. It was the same.
There we go. The
Nothing
word I'm
more
looking
to-
for, gameplay loop. That's the thing. That's where mobile games are dying, is gameplay loops. It's you do the same thing, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. Okay, now you hit the paywall. What if Neopets isn't that? It's not the same thing, the same thing. It's now I play what I want to play. But maybe you have 100, because Neopets had hundreds of Flash games, okay? They had a huge catalog, and that was when I quit in like 2005. Okay, they had like 100 Flash games, and may have just been a simple click that loaded up and said the omelet isn't cooked right now, and you're like, okay, I'll come back in an hour.
Or the scratch offs and shit like
They
that.
have it.
Shit, a bunch of different shit in that game. Like, oh.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, what if they
What were
reinvent the
the-
mobile market?
What were the little toy thingies where you could raise your own little thing?
The
What
Tamagotchi.
is it called? Yeah, those.
Yeah.
So there was an app called, I think it was called Baby Cthulhu or whatever, which is literally that's all it was. It was a little Cthulhu, and you can raise him up until he gets like old as hell. And I'm obsessed with Cthulhu, hence his big ass pop figure. So it's like something like that. That would also be like you say, all those little Flash game stuff. You go there, feed your little Neopet a little bit and stuff like that, then go about your day. And then when you get on home, you hop on your PC or you get on your console. I don't know if you played Doritos Crash Course, maybe you're playing something like that, or if you ever play Battle Block Theater. You could probably play games like that when you're on your console. I don't know, stuff like
And
that.
what the crazy thing is, like, remember, they had all your classic Microsoft games like Solitaire, Go,
Yep.
everything that Microsoft had. They just reinvented it as a Neopets game. So now, what if you had all those games in one app, in one Neopets app, and it was just a Flash game that loaded them on the fly?
That'd be amazing. Jesus
That's
Christ.
think we
and
got it.
that's what I'm hoping. But you know what we're gonna get in the mobile market we have now? Garbage.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yep.
gonna be bad. But let's move on
Like,
to
but
some more nostalgic here, because I did not expect us to sit here and talk about Neopets for half the show. That's but it's
yeah,
a great
this
topic. I
is-
love it.
Got
So
It's
us
shit.
great.
going.
I'm excited for it, honestly, Roger. You've been hyping me up this whole time. But let's talk about something else that could be exciting if it's done correctly here. First off, with DreamWorks. DreamWorks announced 2 new games. We got DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing, and it's being built by the same team who did Nickelodeon Kart Racing, which wasn't a bad racer. It hit the mark. It's not Mario Kart. It's going to be hard to compete with that.
It's not what we needed.
Right. Then the other game is DreamWorks Trolls Remix Rescue. This is a 3D platform, and I was just like, okay, 3D platform from the Trolls. Like, I don't know how well this is going to sell. Like, Trolls to
I
me isn't
mean,
big, but it could be.
I mean, let's look at SpongeBob. It did pretty well,
Yeah, exactly. So only time will tell. But
and that's a 3D platformer.
Speaking of SpongeBob,
Listen.
though, here with what were you about to say?
Oh no, I was gonna say, listen, man. If they want to do that 3D platformer, they have heavy competition because I'm willing to argue with anybody to the death that Star Wars Jedi Survivor is literally just a platformer.
It is,
So
it's a 3D platform.
yeah,
The same
so
thing with like Uncharted. The same thing with Tomb Raider. They're all just 3D platformers with
Yep.
some gunplay or some
Technically-
some
some heavy
combat of
competition,
some
man.
form.
Technically, Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order were Metroidvania games, if you want to be technical, because you have to unlock abilities and then go back to certain areas.
But
This is
they were 3D platforms with
3D
a
platform,
Metroidvania
yeah.
core.
but
But they weren't Metroidvania in the same way that you're working 2D.
right.
You know, they were.
good
they
luck,
were
trolls.
Metroid, I guess.
So
Exactly. Good luck.
But let's continue the conversation along the lines of nostalgia and cartoons. Nickelodeon has announced that All Star Brawl 2 is coming this fall. But what's highlighting here is I pulled some things from the announcement. First one here says jump into all new original story featuring roguelike mechanics, minigames, new arcade mode, boss rush, and much more. Duke it out with the new super abilities, refined mechanics, new offensive and defensive options, and a fresh new take on platform fighting gameplay. But here is the kicker, and this is why the game did not succeed the first time around. Legendary voice acting talent brings new and returning characters from your favorite shows to Brawl with a new playstyle and abilities. This is where the game is going to succeed. When I wanted to play this game and you loaded up and SpongeBob didn't sound like SpongeBob, it is a complete turnoff. It is the same reason why when I booted up Marvel's Avengers and none of them looked like any of the Tony Stark and Thor and Hulk, none of them looked or sounded like the movies that I just spent tons of money to go see, it flopped.
Yeah.
This is important.
hmm
And now that we're in, like, let's talk about the big flop and the the thing in the corner of the room that nobody wants to talk about. Our other fighting game that just got released, the Multiverse, it's gone. Like it was
Yep.
only in beta, a paid beta where you could buy things in a microtransaction store, and everyone's pissed about multiverses. Well, now's your chance. Get in now while while everything's cooled down. Heat the market back up, because when Multiverses comes back out, if they fix everything that's wrong with their game, the Smash Killer's here.
Right.
I'm just curious, how deep are they going to go with this game? Because I ain't going to lie, I would love to be Dora beating somebody's ass with my book bag. Like, can I be Blue's Clues? Like, I'm trying to be Steve and, just smack somebody with my notepad. Like, how deep are they trying to go? I don't know. But, again, the same thing that I didn't say it on here, but I said it, talked about in conversation, so we'll put it on wax here. I always said that Multiverses, the only way that it will fail is if, one, they slack on the content that they have. They have property rights for like insane amount of things. So they could reach into their movie bag, into their comic bag. They can reach into anything. And what happened? They stopped releasing content. So I will say this once again for this game. This game will flop if, one, they don't release enough content, and also the game needs to launch with enough content. Too many games are like, hey, here's like 7 characters and stuff like that, and
we're gonna release like
give me 3
a
months.
month, you know?
But you have to buy the
Yeah.
battle
Try to
pass
be-
to get them. That's
Yeah, I'm not buying a battle pass. Listen,
And
I
that's the
will
thing,
pay a
yeah.
full price for the game if you just don't give me a battle pass. Like I'll
And
pay
if you give
70.
me
Don't give me
like
battle
the
pass.
Smash roster and then say, okay, we're gonna
Yes.
add 5 characters next month, but you have to pay $10, I'll be like, sure, I'll add $10 to that for 5 more characters, but I ain't gonna start with a roster that looks like the N64 Smash that unlocked, like
Yeah.
pre-unlock roster, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna make me buy the rest.
Like
No
I
thanks.
need Danny Phantom, I need But Ugly Martians, I need all of them and everything. Like you got to give me
Yeah.
Rocket Power. Like give me everybody, bro.
Yeah, they have a massive
Or
catalog to pull from.
yeah. Or
Yeah.
give me the ability to not have to buy them, but unlock them.
Just by playing.
Woo, woo, woo. Get into a fight. Fucking now you have to fight, Rocket Power team. Fight all the characters from Rocket Power in a single fight. And like, cool. Then you unlock them. Like, do like Smash does. I'd be all for that.
Yeah.
It's just we
Or
just don't
do
see
old,
those things. Like
do old
everyone's
school
trying
fighting
to do
games.
micro. Yeah.
Remember old school fighting games? You play the campaign, clear 10 levels and everything with a character, and then boom, you get another character. Give me something to work for. Just not to work for a battle pass. That's all I want to work for.
Right. We're definitely gassed out from all of the battle passes here. So, yeah, that's exciting there. But let's move on to something really fucking serious. Like, complete opposite end of a cartoon game here is with
Yeah,
From
dude.
Software.
Let's talk about From Software being the heroes, the champions that we need and deserve. 120 frames for Armored Core 6 on PC on launch. From Software has always disappointed us when it comes to the frame rate of their games. But today we hear that their newest game, their mech, all 3-dimension fighting here is going to be at 120 frames with your friends. Armored Core 6 is lining up to be game of the year quality, my friends.
Yeah.
Game of the year quality.
Yeah. We don't understand how big of a year we are in right now of gaming. We're going to look back at it and we're like, yo, like 2023 was one of the biggest years ever.
It's gonna look like 2007 all over again.
I don't know about you, Roger, but when we co-stream the Game Awards at the end of the year, like that is going to be one exciting ass show. Like,
it's just gonna be we hit every award and we're gonna be like I don't know.
Like,
It's how
like,
do you vote
it's
between
like,
these three?
Before it was like, okay, it was God of War, it was this or this. Now it's gonna be like, I have no idea. I don't know.
Was Elden Ring last year?
Elden Ring, no,
2 years ago, because it was God of
Yeah,
War and
2 years.
Horizon.
I was about to say, if From Software come out of nowhere and get the back-to-back chance, man, they're gonna have to tell Doctor Disrespect to stop calling something two times.
Because
Like,
God of War won last year, and the year before that was It Takes Two.
Right.
crazy.
Elden Ring
It's
did
been
not
that
win
long.
Game of the Year. It lost because there were better games.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
But I'm extremely excited about this and everything because I ain't gonna lie, my kids did disrespect me and I wasn't too happy about that and everything. I was playing the gameplay of it on my TV and my kids they went over to my shelf to grab the controllers, act like they're playing the gameplay video that's on the TV, and they're like, "Oh, my middle boy Noah, he's like, "Oh, Dad, you're playing the game. You're really good." And my oldest looks at him and he's like, "That's not Dad playing. That's the TV." I said, "Whoa, you trying to say I can't do that?"
I folded.
Now I gotta buy the game and shut him up, man.
Elden Ring did release last year and did win Game of the Year.
It did.
Oh, that was
yeah,
last
yeah,
year?
it beat God of War, didn't it?
No, yeah,
So
it
they
beat
can
God
be
of
the
War, but,
back-to-back
God
champs.
of War won the most awards. It won like in
It
every other
didn't win
category.
Game
Yeah,
of the
but
Year.
it won every other category for game.
Yeah.
Which is
So they
mind
could be the 2 times what you're
They
saying,
could,
man.
yeah, they could.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
From Software could be 2 times in a row. And honestly, Armored Core is a game we haven't seen since the PS2. There is a lot of world for improvement. That is Dark Souls, Demon Souls, that is Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, all of that gameplay, all of that action, all of that online multiplayer adjustment, and just all the things they've done to make those games good. That's where this game is. And this game is going to be an online competitive game. People are talking about squatting up, going and hunting other mech suit teams out there. And I thought, honestly, let's talk about the next mech game on the list here that you did a really good job of putting these. Like, after Gundam Evolution closing this year, only a year into it, From Software is gonna pop right in after November when Gundam Evolution shuts down, and they're gonna be like, "We are the new mech game," and like, it's awesome.
Yeah, That's
I'm
definitely
really
exciting
excited.
for Armored
Excited
Core.
for that.
I've never played
But
Armored Core, or at least I don't remember. I remember playing Sly on the
yeah,
PS2 with you. That was a great game, and actually I'm looking to buy it for the PS2 so I can check it out. But imagine if I can get Sly right before Armored Core 6 drops and
I
play
think
that
it's called
every
Slay.
Slay,
Actually, it's
Sly,
just like
whatever.
yeah,
It's
Slay.
SLAI is
Now,
how
now
it was
I
spelled.
I used to play Mech Assault. I never used to
That's
play
another one,
Armored
yeah.
Core. On the original
Yeah,
Xbox, I used to play Mech Assault. So having never played Armored Core a day in my life and everything, I'm from what I've seen, there are some similarities and stuff, but I mean visually it kind of just ends there because of just how the combat is just
Mhm.
all around, and it's just gorgeous, man. It's
hmm
gorgeous for having a very like neutral color palette. It looks amazing. Like it looks
yeah.
great.
So we
For
got
it being such a dark color palette, the game looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wow, it's just a dark, gross future setting where everything is just all like no life, no trees, no earth, just all mech and machine. It
yeah.
still looks awesome. It's such a visually pleasing game. And it's sad to see Gundam Evolution, the other mech game that we really have right now, is just out the door.
Right.
November, after a year of being open, Bandai Namco is shutting the door on Gundam Evolution.
I
It
mean,
just couldn't compete in the space.
it's hard to be in the quote unquote like for
Arena
FPS
shooter.
arena shooter because like the competition that's there is just, and then all the battle passes and all, like it's becoming too much, and if you're
Yeah,
not that
you
big of an IP, you're not going to survive.
everyone can support about 2 battle passes. Like that's a good
Yeah.
average for most people. You got 2 games with battle passes, and if you're not playing them, you're not able to keep up a lot of the time. So it's like everyone's like, all right, I'm in it. I'm gonna play 2 games. And right now, like for me, Overwatch 2 and MTGA. Once I quit Overwatch 2 after this season, I can free up for another battle pass. But like, do you want to?
Right. Yeah, do you want to really
See.
invest that because you might stop
Hey.
playing that game? Because I thought about buying the battle pass for Valorant, but I was like, how often do we play Valorant? We go through like streaks where like, all right, we're playing Valorant every day, and then like we go like 6 months without even touching the game. So it's like, do we
Mm.
really want to? That's
Well,
the
well,
key
See.
part.
before we get down this rabbit hole, Vic, talk about the other battle pass game in the room.
Yeah,
Eh,
let's talk about Call of Duty real quick, as much as I can. First off, Activision has removed the 2009 Modern Warfare 2 from Steam to help combat the hackers that have taken over the game once again. I guess because
Wow.
honestly, they've never
No
left.
way.
It's been that bad, and this is
You
honestly
mean they didn't fix the netcode
right. They
from
didn't fix it.
2009 to today? So all those old kits were still out there?
Yeah. So like the interesting part here is like we talked about it before, where like bringing COD to Steam Marketplace was great for mods, the modding community, but then you also run into hackers and other problems that are going to persist here.
They're
So
just
they
modding
got
their guns to never miss.
right. So like they do got to figure out a balance of this. That's going to be the key part for future Call of Duties. But some exciting news, I guess, is that the boys' superpowers have been moved to their own game mode.
Let's go, baby.
Why
Thank
was
God.
this
Rid of that
not at
shit.
launch? Like we wanted to have that Warzone tournament, and we had to explicitly said don't pick up the powers because like you can't take them out the game for some reason. Like why?
Yep.
Why was that not its own LTM? They do it with anything
Because
else.
they want to force it, man. Like you know how annoying it is when like you're getting shot. Like, oh, is it a bird? It's a plane. Like, no, it's a guy
Well,
from
the problem
M13 in the
is
goddamn air. Like,
Right.
it's annoying.
the problem is at the end of the day, when you make a shit game mode and nobody wants to play it except for 3 people,
You gotta
those three
force it
people
to
are now going to be super mad that nobody else wants to play in that queue. So you're going to make the rest of the community play with them because those 3 people want to play your stupid one-time game mode.
Well, that and plus
This
they
isn't
probably wasted a
Fortnite,
ton
man.
of money on that crossover event. They probably wasted a
Exactly.
ton of money, so they had to make sure they got their investments back.
Yep.
hmm
That's what that was about. But speaking about investments, season 5 was announced. You get new weapons. You get the FR Avancer, which is a new assault rifle, which is just the FFAR, which is the FAMAS. Like it sucks that they couldn't get the actual names for any of these guns. They were that fucking
Yes.
cheap. Then you have the Carrick 300 sniper, which was the WA 2000 from the OG Modern Warfare 2, and then eventually came into like the Black Ops universe. Then you got the M13C. It's coming in season, but it's like it's more or less like an attachment that they could have just added, and instead of it being its own gun, like it's the M13B assault rifle, but it's the submachine gun version.
hmm
Mind
Instead
blowing.
of just changing the actual core of the gun, like you can do with so many others.
Right. Right. It's
Yep.
it's it's really weird what they did this year. And then you're also getting a new handgun and a new SMG in the middle of the season. So don't know what those are exactly. The new bundles and battle passes. You got Snoop Dogg, Nicki Minaj, 21 Savage in there to celebrate the 50 years of hip hop, which is cool, I guess. But it's just like it's a cash grab. They know people are gonna want to buy these bundles just because.
If Snoop Dogg ain't smoking a blunt the whole way through the game,
And it's
I ain't
crazy.
buying it.
It's crazy how we were just talking about Snoop Dogg being in Call of Duty Ghost last week or 2 weeks ago. How he did the
Yep.
voiceover lines, and now he's back, but he's just in the game. But I wonder if he's going to have any voice lines
Yo,
at
my
all.
man Snoop Dogg stole a kid's console when he came to do a concert at my university. Like he was like, "You guys need to get me an Xbox, or I ain't showing up." And so they put an Xbox in his room because they had to borrow it from one of the other students, and he just left with it.
Damn, savage,
Damn.
savage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be crazy,
Mm-mm.
Scobie one. If it is one of his finishing moves, blowing smoke into someone's face, that would actually be pretty funny.
You
Um,
got to. You got to.
but in regards to
All I know is
the, go
I'm
ahead.
buying Nicki Minaj, man. I'm buying Nicki Minaj. I'm
Because you're
playing
playing in
third
third
person
person.
for my own selfish
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see if the
People are
cake
getting
is actually
teabagged,
there.
bro. I'm
Let's
telling
see if the cake is
People
actually
are
there.
getting teabagged.
Yeah, but moving on to the actual update for season 5, new maps with air quotes around it. You got Punta Mar 6v6 map. Strike is returning from the OG COD 4. DRC Zone 1 is a part of Building 21, like the outside of it. That's coming in season as a 6v6 map. But at launch, you get Lounge and Canal, which are gunfight modes. So it's like, whatever. Another lackluster map
you. Okay,
selection.
okay.
New modes that are coming: Havoc, which is like a mashup of like different random abilities that are going to happen mid game. Seems pretty cool. Then you got Big Team Capture the Flag, and then new gunfight variant game modes as well. And then there's new events. You got the Faction Showdown, Vehicle Challenge event, and Camo Challenge event, as apparently I can't spell in our itinerary today. Then for Warzone, got an update. You get a new vehicles, dirt bike, and the MRAP, and then new modes. You have the MRAP. Then you got the. I wonder if they did that on purpose because it's the celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Because all right, got it. New modes. You get Fort Resurgence. So basically, they're taking like part of like another map from Al Mazrah and they're like breaking it down into its own Resurgent map. So they got really lazy. It sounds like instead of making a whole new Resurgent map, they're like, we're just gonna cut it off here and like this is your new Resurgent map because it's going to be in rotation with the other two, Ashika Island and Vondel, which is mind blowing to me why that's even a thing. Like that should also be its own LTM because it's not a new fucking Resurgent map. It's just you got lazy.
Honestly, why hasn't Warzone gotten the queue system like you have in multiplayer? Like multiplayer, I honestly, I ca- all applause to Call of Duty. They actually made a really intelligent way of building your playlist. You select what you want to play, and it will load you into whatever those playlists are. It'll pull you out, put you with new players, so you can play the game modes that you wanted to play.
Yeah. I
Yep.
wish they would just do that with Warzone because
Now you have to pick one and only one,
right,
and I hate it.
because it's like every time we want to play like Resurgence Trios, it's like nope, it's not Resurgence Trios, it's Massive Resurgence Trios. Like we have to play that. Like no, I don't want to play Massive
hmm
Resurgence Trios. I want to play Vondel Resurgence Trios.
Hmm.
But they make it
I want
so
to go
it's
get
just fun.
fondled, and they're like, "Nah, bro, you gotta go get something else."
Oh yeah,
See,
it's
yeah,
really
and what's killing me is the map stuff. It's lazy. Like, I come from like a Ghost Recon background, and on Ghost Recon Wildlands, what really pissed me off was the fact that their maps were quite literally. It's like, hey, you played campaign, you like our open world in the campaign. Well, we're just gonna square this area off, and here's a map for multiplayer. We're gonna square this. It's literally like the same exact stuff, and it's ridiculous. It's very, very lazy. You have people that you pay that their sole job and purpose is to be map creators. This is literally what you pay them for. And instead, you have them, hey, go find a cool area that we can just make smaller to put in there now. Nah,
I mean, that's what they do
but
with all of the multiplayer maps, other than the recycled, remastered version of the maps. They're like,
yep.
just cut off sections of all the other Warzone maps, and it's like, that's not a new map, bro. I played on this map for a week or two already on Warzone, and now you just feeding it to me in multiplayer. Like, I don't want to play that.
Or
Like,
they
what?
go to
You
ground
can
war and
give me a
section off
part
the
of the
map there.
Warzone map, but update it, change it,
but
make it
It
different.
just sucks, man. Like we went from paying $15 every 3 months for a new map pack, right? We used to get beautiful fucking maps, 3, 4 maps, maybe a zombie map if it was Black or Treyarch game, cool. But when we went to free DLC, it's been shitty content.
Well, that's
single
the
time.
thing. They have to put all their effort into these packs they want you to buy. That's the thing. All the development money goes into the things that you're paying for. So if you're no longer paying for this, you're not going to get quality content. And the thing at the end of the day is they don't care. They can't see the metrics of putting effort into quality of gameplay would result in better battle pass and other sales.
Right. And exactly.
It's
Hey,
it's
extra
just
fights around the corner, brother. Listen, man, extra fights around.
I need that in my life ASAP because I'm tired of
But
playing Call of
let's-
Duty because all they worry about is operator skin packs. Only
yeah.
thing they worry
So
about.
let's move on here though to the new event coming to COD.
Yeah, it's the reveal of the Call of Duty 2023, aka Modern Warfare 3, because it's already been revealed, accidentally leaked via Monster Energy. Okay, I have nothing to say about Call of Duty 2023 right now. 'Cause it's
It shouldn't
honestly.
exist.
It
The
shouldn't-
fact that
it
it's here
shouldn't be
sucks.
Modern Warfare 3. We shouldn't get Modern Warfare 3 for 3 years from now. Simple as that.
Yeah.
At least 3 years, if not longer.
And it's not Infinity Ward making it either. That's the crazy part.
It's Sledgehammer Games again because Sledgehammer Games had to help Infinity Ward make Modern Warfare 3 the first time because Infinity Ward went through that whole lawsuit and all those developers left and ended up
Yep.
with Respawn Entertainment, and here we are. Circle has been complete, but Season 5 DMZ is actually getting some interesting upgrades. You're getting a disguise, so you'll be able to like put on a disguise where like the AI won't realize it's you unless you start acting crazy. Then you have battle revive, so it's like an ability where like when you get revived, you're gonna like be revived with like battle rage. So that's pretty cool.
Dude hit you with
hit you with an adrenaline rush. You're like, I'm Hawk smash. Nah. So that I'm curious to see how that plays. And then scuba dive mask, so that makes sense. Like instead of having a gas mask, this mask allows you to breathe underwater. So then the idea is like I guess you have to balance that. Like, do I want a scuba mask or am I going to want just a regular gas mask? Or
Will the scuba also? I'm sorry. Will the scuba also protect you if you're in gas but underwater?
Honestly, a scuba mask should just be the gas mask, but better because that's what scuba does. You don't breathe
We'll see.
outside air, so like the gas shouldn't affect you. But what is logic but something that doesn't matter? And
Doesn't
also,
exist.
the thing is, you're in DMZ. There is no gas.
Right. Well, eventually there
Well,
is.
there is and there isn't.
Yeah.
Also,
And
that's
then-
strictly only for DMZ. It's not for also Warzone.
Right.
Correct.
And then there's also a revive
Dog
box,
water.
which is like an ammo box or armor box, but you can replenish your armor kits, which is pretty cool. I like that idea. And then there's new missions and urgents, is what they call it. I have no idea what those are. I don't really play DMZ because the game's been broken since launch, and I'm glad it still has the beta title still attached to it because it feels like a beta still all year long. But
Let's
enough
talk
of-
about
yeah, I'll say
Niantic
enough of
here
me
for a
bitching
minute.
about Call of Duty today.
Yeah, let's just move on from COD. It's a dumpster fire, and it always has been. But we still pay it because there's nothing better right now.
Save us,
But-
Treyarch. Your only
So
hope.
let's hop back into our discussion earlier of mobile markets. Niantic is releasing Monster Hunter now, a game we've talked about previously. It is the Monster Hunter Pokemon Go. So Monster Hunter Go, if you will, is releasing globally on September 14th, 2023. Game we don't need, game we don't deserve, game we don't care about. It's probably gonna flop, I think. But the Asian market may really eat this up because Monster Hunter is one of those big IPs that isn't as big in Western audiences, but it is pretty big in the Eastern audience. Let's move to something more Western though. Something on the PC. Exciting news. Just like we've already heard from From Software when they were releasing Elden Ring, they're like, yeah, we already have 2 other completed games that we're ready to launch. We just holding off. Larian Studios is out here telling us, yeah, we're already working on the next Divinity Original Sin. Once we drop Baldur's Gate 3 next week, we're going to take a few months off. You know, everyone gets a nice needed vacation. Then we're going to drop Divinity Original Sin, the content. We're going to start building the next Divinity.
Yeah, that's
I'm here
exciting.
for it.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
played
me
any
too.
of their
I'm
games,
excited.
But I know you guys are definitely looking forward to that.
Is there a launch window for that?
No launch window. They're planning as soon as they finish their off season where they're going to take a huge break because they've been working on Baldur's Gate 3 for I think 6 years now at least in early
At least that we
access.
know.
3 to 6 years it's been in early access.
Baldur's Gate 2
They're going to
came
take a
out in,
nice
like,
needed
2010.
well-deserved rest, but we're going to go right back into Divinity Original Sin, which is awesome.
Okay, good. 'Cause I'm about to say we need a break for 2023, man. Let my pockets go.
Yeah, it's not going to be for another 5 years, I bet. But it will go early
Good, good.
access because the last two did, and honestly, that's where they get their development funds from.
Okay, okay, no doubt, no doubt.
But
Beautiful, man. I'm here for it.
let's move on here to another JRPG like game that we're talking about Monster Hunter Go. Let's talk about another Eastern game, and that is Udian Chronicles 100 Heroes. This is a big it's a big sort of number of games is the Chronicle games. This game is now delayed until Q2 of 2024. So this is a relatively like AA to AAA game. Pushed back about 6 months here. But let's round out the gaming news, Vic, with Fortnite.
Yeah, man. I probably should have threw this up with the rest of the shooters and grouped it in with Call of Duty. Just
That's okay.
releasing garbage content. But Terminator is coming to Fortnite. If anybody's interested in that, you get to, put the thumbs up, and I'll be back. So yeah, there's that Terminator.
Yeah.
Is
Dude, if
returning.
there isn't a game mode where there's one Terminator hunting down one player on the map and he knows where they is, and everyone's trying to defend that person from the Terminator, but just by slowing them, then I'm not in.
Yeah,
Like,
that's gonna be nice, man.
it would be cool if there was like a Terminator game mode like they did with Thanos, and the Terminator's just hunting one player on the map.
That would be nice.
That'd be fire.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a limited time mode and not thrown into the mix with Fortnite.
We could choose to play it or not.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like Call of Duty does?
Yeah, exactly. But that's enough of our gaming news. Let's end out the episode with our leaks and rumors. Alright, so I'm going to kick it off here with the aforementioned Back for Blood. The sequel is apparently in development now due to a recent job listing, and it could be using Unreal Engine 5, and we talk about how amazing this engine is, and I'm all for it. So, really looking forward to that and seeing if that actually comes to fruition there. But, Roger, the Mortal Kombat 1 Pack 2 has leaked already. I mean, the
Yeah.
first one just leaked not that long
So
ago.
no, so we already got the announcement for who the DLC characters are, which is weird to me. Like, if you already know these characters are coming, why aren't they in the original release of the game? So in Mortal Kombat, not remaster, but the re-release, I guess, not re-release, but
Reboot?
the remake.
Yep.
There we go. That's the word.
Remake.
The remake of Mortal Kombat. I'm over here like what? Mortal Kombat 1 is already announced Pack 2. So we have Pack 1 and Pack 2 already announced for this game, and we're still a few months off from it. The new fighters is Doomslayer, Noob Saibot, Kano, Serena, Harley Quinn, and Deathstroke. There will also be 5 cameo fighters: Rain, Draman, Bo Rai Cho, Hus Hao, and Hus Hao. One's Haoh and the other is Hao. So they are siblings or family. Who's HSU being their family name.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise here got to be Doomslayer to me.
Yeah,
I need that. I need that sword to come out, bro.
So if Doomslayer comes, does Master Chief come next?
Everyone's like Master Chief fighting game win, and Xbox over here like.
I mean, they just added
Yeah.
Master Chief to what?
They got the
Brawlhalla
Pip-Boy
or
thumb up.
whatever? They
Yeah.
just added Master Chief to Brawlhalla, so he could be in another fighting game.
Start licensing him out, man.
But you imagine like the finishers, like the executions that Master Chief or like any of these guys are going to be able to do. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to see it.
Doomslayer's gonna be nuts. He's
Master
like
Chief
grabbing
over here.
somebody from like it's just like
Master
Dude,
Chief
he
figured
is.
out the
He's
sword.
literally gonna just rip the fucking. Oh man, dude! When I played the remake of the original Doom Man in 2018, when you just went around, I was like, man, am I the bad guy? I feel like I am. Like, these demons don't deserve this, dude.
Just annihilating everybody. But on to our next leak and rumor here. This is unfortunate, sad news because this game kind of went under the radar. It was overshadowed by a lot of releases at the time. But Immortals Phoenix Rising sequel may have got canceled by Ubisoft, according to VGC. Mortal Phoenix Rising came out in December of 2020, so around when the next gen console first launched. You had Cyberpunk, you also had Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It was in a really, really bad fucking time frame, and when I played it and I beat it and I talked about it, I was like, this game
Yeah.
is a gem, but it's going to get missed by everybody.
And this is the problem with games like this is when they get missed, these companies like Ubisoft who are like, man, do these single player games work? Should we keep investing in them? Like should we keep getting new single player IPs? And then they have things like this and they're like, oh, wasn't that successful? Maybe we won't keep doing it. And then we get Watch Dogs that has a cash shop but no multiplayer.
Yeah, it's definitely mind blowing. And the sad thing with Ubisoft is that I was listening to a podcast earlier today about all of this stuff is the fact that Ubisoft is going towards the same way Activision Blizzard has gone, where they used to have all of these IPs that they used to make games for. They went to Call of Duty, and that is it. And that's kind of what Ubisoft is doing. We have 11 Assassin's Creed games in development.
Yeah,
11.
it's all down to Assassin's Creed. And
Yeah.
and we're getting Assassin's Creed games we just don't need.
Right, we're getting
Like,
a VR, we're getting mobile, we're getting multiplayer, we're getting like all of these
Yep.
different types of them, and it's just like that's not what we want. We want the OG Assassin's Creed games, like Mirage. Mirage is going to come out
Yeah.
and be great, but all of these other ones could be the same kind of game in those time frames that they're trying to do. But I don't know, they're just trying to tap in and they're trying to see what's hot, follow the trend.
And what's
Yeah,
killing me about this? I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what's killing me about this whole thing is that Ubisoft announced earlier this year that literally is their plan. They said that they're going to just be focusing on their major, what do you call it, their major titles, their major IPs. And with that, in your major IPs, you have Assassin's Creed, you have maybe like 3 Tom Clancy games, and
And that's the thing. They're not going to
That's
do
it.
Tom Clancy as much anymore. They're just like,
Nope,
okay,
they're
what
not.
Tom Clancy is
Well,
working? Siege.
Yeah, well, yeah, but say Rainbow
Yeah.
Six Sieges, they're going to continue to support that. We're never going to see a Rainbow Six Siege 2. Never. I
No.
don't think so.
No.
That game is going to have year 17 content on it.
Yep.
But we are getting the Splinter Cell remake from the ground up. So there's that. And then you also got the Prince of Persia game, the new one, and then also the remake of the first one. So like they're
well, the
riding,
remake got pushed back
right,
indefinitely.
Yeah, that one's been
And-
delayed.
And like, they were going to give us a pirate game, and we all know how well that's going.
Right, are we going to get that? Who fucking knows? At this
Skull and
point?
Bones.
Like,
Yeah.
and like this is the kind of game we need. Is that sort of shake up. Like, everyone loved pirate games. Everyone loves pirates. Pirates are I was reading an article. Pirates are the most fantasized criminals in all of history. Everyone loves pirates just because they're free and fun.
Yeah.
But they're like, everyone loves pirates, but fuck that. Let's play with assassins. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I get it's your main series, but like, do we need 12 games?
No, not at all. But moving on here to WB Games is Gotham Knights is apparently getting its upcoming DLC.
Wait, that game still exists?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's getting it in the form of like a prequel-esque DLC because you'll be able to play as Batman in this DLC because obviously Gotham Knights
Batman's dead. That's
Right.
the whole point of the game.
Well, apparently you're going to see all of the events that lead up to maybe Batman dying, which could be cool if it's done right. But I eventually want to check out Gotham
don't
Knights.
tell me. Don't tell me that, man. All right, so listen, chat and those who are listening live and everything. I am a fan of the comics and stuff.
I love
So
Batman.
if you know, yeah, like if you know how this story ends, and you're telling me that this is going to be a prequel, that means we didn't even get the end of the story in the game.
Yeah.
Like that's an issue. Like they literally just said, "Hey, listen, we're just gonna cut the ending of the story out and possibly release a sequel or a DLC to actually give you the ending."
The thing is,
That's
they're
not
like,
okay.
Batman's the seller for Gotham. Like, if you're not doing Batman, like right now, I'm a current subscriber to like all the Batman stuff in DC because I'm a simp for Batman. But like, the problem is, like, they're like, oh, without Batman, do we really get sales? Turns out you don't.
I
Like,
got all my
when
Batman
when
stuff
your
right
main comic for DC is, Detective Comics. DC stands for Detective Comics. When your Detective Comics are about Batman, that is your core character, and they're like, "Oh, we killed off the core character. Everyone want to keep playing,"
Yep.
and everyone's like, "Well, it doesn't have Batman, so no."
Right.
But now, if you're gonna play as Batman, What the fuck, dude?
It's going to
It's
try and
not
sell the
even
game
fair.
again. Right. It's like
It's
Gotham
it's
Knights flops that are trying to revive it with Batman.
it's like
At the
it's like
least
having a
give us-
pre. Go ahead.
I was at least give us The Last of Us 2. Start us off with the motherfucker. Like you could at least do that.
And then just kill
Oh.
him, and you're like, oh no.
Oh, and then this is why you got to play as one of his sidekicks. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like you start as Batman, you're like, this feels great, and then
man.
you die. That's the prologue. It's
You're
a
like,
single
is he
player
dead?
prologue. Yeah, and then as soon as you finish that single player prologue, you load in as one of the 4 Bat kids, but only 3 players in the game. Fuck this game.
4
dude.
characters only play stream.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, dude,
definitely
you can only
mind-blowing.
play 3 people at a time, but it's a 4. There are 4 characters, but only 3 of them are. You can only play 3 of them at a time.
Yeah, so.
The other one's off just jerking it in the corner, dude. He's just sitting there in the corner like, Batman's dead, but I'm gonna watch my siblings.
Yeah. So so we'll see how that plays out. Maybe it revives the game. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it lights the
No,
fire.
it's
even more.
definitely it's Marvels. It's the same thing we got with Marvels. It's the same thing. You can
Right.
relay 100 DLCs. The dumpster fire is already burning. All you're doing is adding more tires.
We're throwing more
Yep.
gasoline into it for sure. But that rounds out all of our news, leaks, and rumors this week. So we want to thank everyone who did come through and check us out live here today on Twitch, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else that you may get your podcasts. But we also want to thank Paul, aka Inhuman, for coming through onto the show once again. We appreciate all the insight and the knowledge and the enjoyment of games that you have. Thank you.
No, thank you for the invite.
Hell yeah. So where can the community find you at?
Oh, as always, it's your man Inhuman Line. You can find me on all your various social media networks at Inhuman Line. That's INH. Oh my god, did I just forget to spell my name? Oh man, let's try that from the top and everything. That's INHUMANLINE. There we go. And you can find me. I'm mostly active on Twitter and stuff like that. So if you want to hit me up there, you can find me there. Well, I'm sorry, X. Oh,
X, not
that's
Twitter
it. It's no longer Twitter. X.com.
And what about you, Mr. Lunatic Oblivion?
Hey, all I say is fuck social media. I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion.
And of course, everyone, you can check me over at Twitter or X at Mr. Never Chillin' _ Threads is at Mr. Never Chillin'. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin'. If you want a game party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any questions, concerns, or if you want to come on the show, slide in the DMs there. And I'm streaming over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin'. Currently playing through Mass Effect 3. Back for Blood, and probably going to be streaming some more XO Primal. So come through into our after show channel in our Discord if you want to continue the conversation leading up to when we start playing. But we want to thank everyone again, and until next time, peace.
Peace.
Restart Podcast.